Hey guys, welcome back. It's Karen Cerezo, your midlife health coach and menopause expert. I'm so excited that you are here today. We're going to dive deep into some ways that you can really thrive in midlife. And I know this is a buzzword, but it's important that we are living our best life, even when we are dealing with challenges that come with midlife. So, whether you are in perimenopause or you are post-menopause, there's still a lot of physical, mental, and emotional changes that are going along with that new season. But just being in midlife is already a challenge without having to navigate menopause. We're dealing with launching our adult children, we're dealing with our aging parents, we're dealing with our own health issues or concerns that we might have. We're dealing with changes in our relationships with family members, friends, our spouses. There's just a lot. We're dealing with changes in our careers, whether we are starting to plan towards retirement or we have retired. There's a lot going on. And so, can we thrive in midlife? We definitely can. And there's some secrets that go into what are the ways to set myself up so that I can have a high quality life. All right, so I want to go ahead and jump right on into this. Here we go. I'm going to minimize myself. So today's workshop is 3 keys to thriving in midlife. Can I make myself smaller? Let's see. I just want to be able to make sure that you guys can see the whole screen. Okay, I'm just going to kind of get myself out of that corner there. So welcome. Again, if we have not met, my name is Karen Cerezo. I am a health coach. I'm a personal trainer. I specialize in women's health, specifically women over 45. I'm also a nutritionist. I'm certified as a behavior change specialist. And so I love all of those roles, but I'm also a wife. I have 3 kiddos, so I am a mom, and I have 5 fur babies I take care of. And so just like you, being a mom, a wife, a sister, an aunt, a friend, I want to feel my best so that I can be the best for everybody that is in my life. It's important to me to be able to pour into them. And the way I do that is staying healthy. So it's taken me some time to get to where I finally feel like I'm finding success and I feel like I'm thriving in midlife. It might have taken, a little come to Jesus talk to finally realize how important it is to really pour back into myself so that I can be the woman that these people that are in my life need me to be. So let's jump right on in. There we go. Um, it's definitely common for women to feel these things. So if you've been feeling invisible or you've been feeling unheard, underappreciated, undervalued, even maybe unmotivated, these are all feelings that are super common with women navigating midlife. And you're going to hear me talk about things that are common. But one of the things I want to say right away is just because things are common, whether it's feelings or medical concerns, doesn't mean that it's not treatable. So maybe you feel like that you're kind of at a standstill. Maybe you feel a little overwhelmed with everything that's going on in your life right now. And maybe you just want to feel like you've got a fire burning inside you, finding that passion. So like I said, it is common for us to feel a little overwhelmed and a little lost, maybe wanting to make some life changes because we see that we are in that second half and we want to live the best second half that we can. And so the biggest question I get is, where do I start? And it's important that you take that time to actually do that. So it's perfectly okay to feel all of those things. And today's workshop is really going to help you audit where you are so that you can create a plan to help you focus on what's really important, getting you to where you want to be, which of course is making sure that we are living our best life, that we are thriving in midlife. So my goal by the end of this workshop is to help you feel empowered, knowing that you are in control of your midlife narrative. And this is really our goal, is to write a good story, right? A good ending as we navigate this second half of our life. I'm hoping that you'll also learn ways to prioritize what habits are important and what needs your attention now to help improve the quality of your life. And it's important that we're focusing on who we are right now in the moment, not who we were 10 pounds ago, not who we're gonna be 5 years from now, but where are we now in our life and where do we want to be in the future so that we can create a roadmap to get there. And I'm hoping that you walk away with some tools and some strategies to really help you get to where you want to be. And like I said, just living your best midlife years. In the notes is the workbook. You can download that workbook. You can scan it right here. So if you haven't already done that, make sure that you download the workbook. You can print it or you can just use a pad of paper. But the reason I have the workbook is it's really going to help you go through the workshop. So whether you print it out or you're just using a notepad, I strongly encourage you to put pen to paper. It's so important that we actually do the action. When you write down your goals, that really does provide several benefits for us. It's going to increase our motivation. It's going to help us have better clarity on what we want to achieve. It's going to improve our focus so that we're really, in the moment and we're not worrying about other things. We're not, worrying about our to-do list. We're not scrolling on our phone. And it's going to give us a sense of accountability. Plus, the bonus of writing things down, there is a higher likelihood of actually achieving them because it is a tangible reminder of your aspirations. So essentially, it just helps you stay on track and work towards your goals more effectively. So if you haven't already done that, make sure you get that workbook. Okay. So one of the places when women come to me and they're trying to figure out, how do I set myself up so I've got a high quality of life? It's always important that we do a little self-inventory. So I want you to take a minute, and if you need to, you can always stop this videos. That's what's really nice about having these videos not be live, that you can kind of control what you need to do. Take a minute, and I want you to close your eyes and picture yourself. Picture your life. How do you wish to see yourself in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, even 30 years from now? So what do you see yourself? How is your life, in your 70s, in your 80s? What does your life look like? What are you doing? Who are you with? Where are you? How are you spending your time? When you create a clear picture of you living your best life, that's really going to help you figure out, how do I need to get that? How do I need to make this picture a reality? So just think about where you were 20 years ago or 25 years ago. Is this where you envisioned yourself? What we want to do is we want to envision it so that we can make it happen. So think about that. Is this the job you thought you would have? Is this the lifestyle? Is this the marriage you thought you'd be in? Is this a circle of friends that you thought you had? You can't go back and change time, but what we can do is moving forward, we could really set ourselves up for success. So envisioning where we want to be is so critical to setting those goals. So when you envision yourself 20 plus years from now, how is your health? Here's the thing. Actually, before we get into health, let me talk about this one first. How do you spend your time? I got ahead of myself. I got excited. I love to talk about health, so that explains it. But think about that. How are you spending your time in the next 15, 20 years? So in the first question I asked, think about, where do you want to be? Who do you want to be with? What do you want to be doing? Well, let's look at that. How do we want to be spending our time? Are we still working? Are we retired? Are we set up for success? Do we have hobbies? Are we following a dream? Maybe that's something that we've always wanted to do, and now we're pursuing that. When you are envisioning living your best life, what gets you out of bed each day? What gets you excited about that, the future? So think about that. How are we going to spend our time, in our 60s, in our 70s, in our 80s? We want to make sure that we're painting this picture of having a high quality life that is full of joy and fun and happiness and creating amazing memories and sharing that with the people that we care about. And then that takes me to the one that's super important. Think about, when you're envisioning this, how is your health? Here's the thing. as we are entering what we refer to as our second act, if you are between 40 and 50 right now, you're basically smack dab in the middle of life, probably a little bit over, because I think the middle of life now, I think they figure is about 38. You can choose to continue going on the path you're currently on, or you can make some small changes to make that path even a little bit better, a little bit more successful, a little bit healthier. So remember, one of the things when I talk about being more successful, it's important that you are defining success. It doesn't necessarily mean with your job. Success is how you portray yourself. Success means that you are happy, that you are doing things that you love. How are you seen in your relationship? How in your community, in your friendships? Are you doing the things that you want to do? And so we need to think about that. And when we go into creating this beautiful lifestyle, obviously to live it our best selves, to do all the things that we want to do, to not have limitations, we need to be healthy. We need to be active. So when you're picturing yourself, is that what you're picturing? Are you picturing a healthy 70-year-old, a healthy 80-year-old that has the vitality, that's, is movement is easy. You get outdoors and you go for walks or you go for hikes, or, whatever it is that you're envisioning. Think about those things. The most important thing is you have to be ready to commit to put in a little work in the key areas of your life to make this new season your best season. So obviously with middle age, like we said, we've got the change, we've got menopause. There's a lot of things going on in our lives. And for some, menopause really is just like a little bump in their life. It's very, very little disruption. For others, other women I've worked with, menopause is like a hurricane. It just tears through everything. It affects everything in its path. That includes relationships, physical health, gut health, hormonal health, mental health. So what we want to do is make sure that we're addressing all of those things. We want to make sure that we're trying to feel as in control as possible so that we are setting ourselves up for that new season and being successful and feeling joy in that new season. So when I first realized I was in perimenopause, I was about 46. And it was like literally overnight. I wasn't sleeping. I was gaining weight. I had low energy. I was cranky, like super cranky. I had no desire to be intimate with my husband. My joints were hurting. My workouts were suffering. My cravings were like pregnancy cravings all over again. Even my eyesight was changing. So it took me a lot of time, money, and energy to find the answers I needed to finally feel like myself again. I bought books. I listened to webinar after webinar. I began following midlife influencers on social media. I devoured every article I could. I asked the hard questions. And I can say without a doubt, I do feel amazing now. I'm not tired all the time. I have so much more energy, which is nice. My gut health is fantastic. So that's important. No more bloating. My sleep is better. And even my libido is better. So that's always a plus because obviously Mr. Cerezo is very happy with that. This is how I want other women to feel. And this is why I really focused on being a health coach that works with just women and works with women going through this midlife transition. So right now, I just want you to imagine what life could feel like if you felt somewhat in control of your hormones and your emotions. If you felt like you were making real progress to living a healthier, happier, hopefully calmer life. What would life be like if you were finally getting real answers to your questions, if you felt less stressed, if you were getting better sleep, if you felt like you again? This is really what we want to do. And to do that, we have to look at where we are and where we want to be. So one of the things that goes into thriving is really being educated. And we need to know what to expect in midlife. We need to know how to navigate the new and the unknown. We need to feel empowered to take on this second half of our life because it is going to make a big difference, not only to us, but it's going to greatly impact the people around you. So education is key when it comes to thriving. Now, that's not the one secret. I still have 3 keys for you, but that's the big one that's kind of just encompasses everything. So when it comes to thriving in anything, you have to establish a starting point. So I always love doing this with my clients when we first kick off. This is our point A. This requires that you do a little self-inventory, and you always have to do a little self-inventory if you're going to create goals and if you're going to track and see progress. So we want to make sure that we're seeing that progress. Well, to do that, we kind of have to have a baseline of where we are. To begin to make a plan, we have to organize our priorities. As much as we would love to do all the things when it comes to, feeling our best, we just don't have the energy to do all the things. So we want to use that limited energy, that limited time, limited money, and really focus on what's important. So once we establish where we're headed to, we need to begin to make a plan. And this is what I refer to as the roadmap. This is going to get us to point B, ultimately living our best life. So this roadmap is paced by daily practices. These are your habits. These are your routines. These are your actions that you do every day, whether they're conscious or unconscious. This is what's going to move you closer or obviously further away from making progress. And this is exactly what we're going to cover today. So what we want to do is we want to establish a baseline, prioritize where we need to be spending our energy, and create a plan using the 3 keys of thriving in midlife to lead us toward our final destination, which is living our best lives. So I promise you will not be the only one that feels the difference. Like I said, your loved ones, your family, your friends, your coworkers, people in your community will all feel the effects of you making yourself a top priority. And I really feel like most women, they understand it is time. It's time that we do this. It's time that I pour back into myself a little bit. We've spent most of our lives living for others, caring for others, and now it's our time to really focus on us. So what we want to do is we take that roadmap. Like I said, the purpose of doing the roadmap is just to get a little bit of information. We need to know, where are we starting? That's our point A. And then step 2 is going to help us establish that baseline to make and help us track progress. So it's going to help you organize priorities and it's going to give you the information you need to begin creating a simple, solid plan of action. So to do that, there's a couple things I ask. You've got to believe in yourself as you're going through. As you're going through steps 1, step 2, steps 3, you're creating those things. You're creating a personalized plan for you. You're creating tools for your tool belt that are going to work with your unique goals. But what you've got to do is you've got to shift that mindset. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to set your intentions to results and success only. Now, does that mean we're not going to fail? Not necessarily. We're always going to, have maybe a little time when we slide back a little bit. But even if we fail, that's going to give us information. That's going to give us some information we need to find success. So I want you to keep an open mind, and I don't want you to limit yourself. Just because it may be hard or challenging doesn't mean that it's impossible. And just because it hasn't worked in the past doesn't mean it's not going to work now. What we need to do is really look at what has worked, what hasn't worked, and why did it not work? Why did it work? And think about, just because we're older, that doesn't mean that things are off the table. This might actually be your driving force, is now that you're older, you're realizing my time is limited. I really want to make these healthy changes. So I want you to give yourself a little grace. We're shooting for progress. We're not shooting for perfection. And our goal here is to recognize that it's never too late. And remember that just about anything is possible. So don't let those small things that maybe have, held you back, or small setbacks that you've had in the past, don't let those limit you to, dream big. Our goal is to just make that progress, not hit perfection. All right. So there's 5 areas that we're going to focus on today when we are doing that self-inventory. And this is where your workbook really comes into play. So with regard to today's self-inventory, we're going to focus on these 5 key areas. And I do understand that you could probably create a list of 10 or more areas that you could focus on. But for today's purpose, we're going to try to keep it, quote unquote, simple. So the 5 areas I like to focus on with my clients when we're looking at how do I want to set myself up for success for living my best second half. Well, let's look at where you are. Where are you in your career and your professional goals? Where are you in your commitments and your caregiver roles? Where are you with your overall health and wellness? Where are you in relationships? And then finally, where are you with regard to your legacy that you're leaving behind? And do you feel that the way you're living right now is giving you purpose? And is it helping you feel fulfilled? And so some of those are the areas that we want to look at. So this is where we get into that step 2. We're going to start with that baseline. Step 2 is we're going to try to figure out, well, where do I need to prioritize my energy? Because I can't focus on all 5 of those key areas. I really want to focus on 1, maybe 2. So let's dive in to the first simple self-inventory exercise. The first one is career and professional goals. My question for you is, how satisfied are you with this area of your life? So if you were to give yourself a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being I am so satisfied with my career right now, 1 being the lowest, how satisfied are you? So if you've got a notepad, I want you to write that down. And again, I strongly, strongly encourage you to put pen to paper. Is it a 1? Is it a 3? Is it a 5? Think about these questions. Use those questions to kind of guide you with your response. How satisfied are you? Do you love going to work? Do you get excited to wake up? I know for me, I used to be a middle school teacher. Now I'm a personal trainer. I run small group fitness classes. I get up at 4:30 in the morning, and every day that alarm goes off, I wake up smiling because I'm so excited to see the women that come to me at 5 o'clock or 5:30 in the morning. And that's important. Are we living to work, or are we working to live? I absolutely love my job, and it fires me up. It gets me excited. I'm passionate about it. So think about your job. Are you satisfied with your career? And like I said, it is totally okay to give yourself a 5. It's totally okay to give yourself a 1. There is no right or wrong answer. This is your personal self-inventory. All right. The second thing is commitment caregiver role. So again, same thing. How satisfied are you with the commitments? Do you feel overwhelmed by the commitments that you are locked into right now? Do the things that you've committed to do, let's say you're volunteering at the church, you babysit your grandkids 2 days a week, you are, working on the weekends, helping your neighbors plant a garden, whatever it is. Okay. Let's think about that. Is that satisfying? Do you feel satisfied in that area, or do you feel overwhelmed? Is it bringing you joy, or do you feel resentful for some of the things that you have to do with? Do you feel overwhelmed by your responsibilities? Whether you're caretaking for children that are still at the house, children that are in college, children that are living on their own, or aging parents, how does that role feel for you? Does it feel overwhelming? Do you feel blessed? Do you feel like you have a handle on it? And what about your other commitments? Do you volunteer? Do you work within your church? Do you work within your community? Think about those things, and then give yourself a score. Again, 1 through 5. 5 being the best. So think about your responsibilities. Do those responsibilities still allow you to prioritize time for yourself? I think that's an important question that we need to ask ourselves. All right, number 3, working with that self-inventory. Let's answer the question of how satisfied are you in the area of overall health and wellness? Meaning, do you feel like you're in good health? Are there areas where you feel like you need to make improvements? Do you feel like you're prioritizing your health, that that you are dieting? And I don't want to say dieting. Let's say that you are eating to bless your body. You've got a good, healthy diet. You're exercising. You feel like your hormone health is pretty good. You might have some fluctuations in there, especially if you're going through menopause. Do you feel like your gut health is good? Your sleep is good? You're focusing on, reducing stress. Do you feel like your weight is manageable? It might not be your ideal dreamy weight, but do you feel like you've got some things under control? How is your mindset? How is your sexual health? We don't always include that when we talk about health and wellness. So think about those things. If you're thinking, you know what, some of the things you've named, I would really like to focus on, it's okay to give yourself a little bit of a lower score. Think about how you are living, your daily life. Does it prioritize living a healthy lifestyle with good food that blesses your body, with movement? So think about that. Do you feel like you're getting proper care with any issues that you're suffering from? So if you're going through menopause, do you feel like your doctors are listening to you? Do you feel like it could be better? Think about all those things when you're doing a self inventory. And you can always give yourself, you know what, when it comes to hormones, I feel at a 2, but when it comes to, eating well and exercising every day, I give myself a 4, whatever it is. It's okay if you want to make little notes. This is your exercise. All right, number 4, one of the key areas is relationships. How satisfied are you in this area of your life? So think about the key relationships you have in your life. How strong are those? Whether it's relationships with your siblings, your children, if your parents are still living, if your in-laws, your spouse, your friends, your inner circle, your coworkers. Those are all key relationships. How do you feel like those relationships are? And think about your primary relationships, the ones that you really focus on, the ones that are the most meaningful to you. Do those relationships bring you joy? Is there somebody that maybe that you need to cut out of your life that is no longer bringing you joy? Are there new relationships that you would like to develop? So sometimes we hang on to long-term friendships when we realize that maybe this person is not the best thing for me. Maybe they bring in toxic energy, but I've never, not had them in my life. And maybe this is a time when we look at, I might need to maybe set some boundaries with this relationship. So go ahead and give yourself a score, 1 through 5. And then finally, this one's a little bit more challenging because it makes us think about, well, what do people think about us after when we're no longer here? But let's look at, let's look at purpose and fulfillment first. Do you feel like you're living out your purpose? Is there something that you've always wanted to do, but now you think it's too late? Do you feel fulfilled in your day? Like I said, do you get excited when you wake up every day? And then looking at that legacy, when you're no longer here and people speak about you, what are they going to say about you? How are you leaving people? What kind of feelings are they going to get when they think of you, when they hear your name? So do you think you're living and honoring yourself in that manner? So give yourself a score, 1 through 5. And again, this is all just giving us a baseline. And the reason I have people do this self-inventory is because it helps us create a plan, right? When we look at those scores, we're able to figure out, okay, I've got a couple 4s in here, but I've got a 1 or I've got a 2. So what I would look at is I would look at the ones you feel like you should be focusing on. Now, I put, what are the top 3 you feel like you should be focusing on right now? Out of those 5, honestly, I would tell you what is the one that you really should be focusing on. If your relationship's got a 1 and everything else got a 3 or a 4 or 5, let's say, let's focus on relationships first. And then once we get our energy, focused on that, then we can start to include the other things. But I wouldn't try to do a full overhaul. So take a look at where do you want to spend your energy? Because like I said, as much as we would like to focus on all 5 of them and make sure that they're all being, living the best way we can with all 5, but it's really hard to do that. So think about the one that you would really focus on. If you spent a lot of time and energy and really put that into that one and prioritizing, taking that from a 1, a 2, a 3 to a 4 or a 5, how would your life be better? If you put the energy into one of those areas, how would your life be better? I want you to write that down. If I spent more time and energy focusing on my relationships or focusing on my health or focusing on my purpose and passion and feeling fulfilled in my life, how would my life be better? Write that down. Again, put pen to paper. It makes a huge difference. Now, here's my other question. You see that one of those areas needs your attention. You see that one of those areas needs to be number one on the priority list. My question to you, and this is a hard one, is why have you not already made it a priority? What has been standing in your way? Is it because you don't know what to do? Is it because you don't know how to get started? Is it because it's always been this way and so why change it? Let's look at that. If you're focusing on your relationships and you're like, I really need to make my relationships better, why have you not already done that? Is it because you need to set boundaries? Is it because you need to maybe cut some toxicity out of your life? Um, is it because you have to have hard conversations and it's going to put you in an uncomfortable position? That might be it. And let's address it. Once we address it, once we write down what's standing in our way, once we give words on the paper, that gives us our power back. So let's address it. What could you do today to begin making your midlife years more enjoyable? Why have you not already done this? What's standing in your way? And what could you do today? Could it be picking up a phone to reach out to that person that you're trying to build a relationship? Could it be just letting that person know that you appreciate them? What about if it's your health or your fitness? Could it be that you need to do some meal prepping, that you need to maybe get some of the snacks out of the pantry? Could it be that you need to reinstate your gym membership? What is it? What's been standing in the way, and how can we move the needle in the right direction? All right. Tough questions, I know, but taking that time to really sit down and answer them. Again, I encourage you, if you can't answer them in the next, 5 seconds here, pause the video, take some time with it, come back to this. But I strongly suggest that you do this part because it really does make a difference. So I love Brene Brown and I love her quote. The biggest thing is midlife really is the universe telling you, listen, you've got limited time. Time is growing short. So how do you want to use that time? And of course, it's going to take courage. And of course, it's going to take us stepping out of our comfort zone. But you know what? Ultimately, our time is right now to show up and to be seen. And that's what we're doing here. We're taking that time and we're going to make sure that we're getting the best out of it because we don't know how long we are going to be in. All right. So now we've done our biggest thing, right? The biggest component is really doing that self inventory. We've taken the time to do that. We know what our baseline is. We know where we're starting. We know what we want to prioritize. Now, the second step is how do we get that? Well, what we want to do is we want to use the 3 keys to help us get there. So here's your key number 1. Number 1 is mindset. I like to start with mindset because to me, this is the most important key. If you don't have your mind in the right place, you're never going to be successful. You may possibly achieve your goals. I'm not saying that it's not done or not doable, but you might not fully enjoy and the achievement because you're just not in the right mindset to actually enjoy what you have done. If you don't fully believe that what you do is making a difference, you'll never feel like you have succeeded. So getting your mind in the right place allows you to find success with the other 2 keys. So when it comes to navigating this new season, midlife, and what comes with it, hello, menopause, it's imperative that you have what is referred to as a growth mindset. A growth mindset allows you to feel empowered, giving you control over what you will achieve. And this is where the it's never too late and you're never too old belief begins to ignite. So empowered, giving you control over what you will achieve. A growth mindset also allows you to learn and grow through education and experience. And a growth mindset gives you permission to listen to your body, to look for clues, to ask questions, and pursue answers that satisfy your curiosity. Basically, a growth mindset allows you to break through those limitations. And that's what we want to do. And this is where we are like, well, I wasn't able to do it in the past, so I can't do it now. Well, I'm too old, so now I've lost the opportunity. None of that is true. We are still growing, we are still evolving, which means we are still empowering ourselves to be our best version. All right, so here's an example of what a growth mindset is. So I'm going to take my sweet client here, Jeanette. She was 57 when she came to me. She never thought she could be a runner because of limiting beliefs that she used to tell herself. So this was from Jeanette. For so long, I allowed the limiting beliefs of others, my mom, my friends, my coworkers, to dictate my decisions. Looking back, I can see so many times where I made decisions based on fear or other people's opinions. Finding success with that Couch to 5K program was not only a personal achievement, but a breakthrough in the realization of how powerful my thoughts could be. Now I have this awareness. I see what is possible if I change my mindset and my priorities. So when we worked together, we had, we were working on health goals, and I had made the comment about, one of the things you could do is sign up for a 5K, and that's going to encourage you to get out there, get your steps in, whether you're walking or jogging or running, whatever you want to call it. And she said, I'm not a runner. My mother's always told me I'm just not going to be a runner. My friends don't think that I can be a runner. I'm too slow to be a runner. My coworkers would laugh at me. And so we did a Couch to 5K program, and she completed her first 5K. And it really was getting Jeanette to realize that she had that growth mindset, that you are not locked into what others told you. You are not locked into that 14-year-old that took PE class and didn't enjoy it, right? We've evolved, we've changed. There's other things that we can do, and we can grow and learn to be our best selves, getting rid of those limitations that others or ourselves have placed on us throughout the years. So I love sharing her story because now she is an avid runner and she is amazing. So to create a mindset that allows for and encourages growth, I have my clients focus on 4 key concepts: self-talk, self-love, self-discipline, and goal setting. So when you pair those 4 concepts with a growth mindset, you're empowering yourself with a strategy that is going to help you navigate this new season a whole lot easier. So by recognizing your power and how much control you actually have, this midlife journey won't seem so life-altering. Actually, you may learn to embrace it in a way that you are able to shed your old self, those limiting beliefs, and really step into who you were meant to be. So looking at those 4 key areas, how do you talk to yourself? How do you show yourself love? What kind of self-discipline do you have? And what kind of goals are you setting for yourself? And it's important that we go through and we focus on that mindset. So here's where I want you to do a little bit of reflection. Do you feel that your current mindset is a strength or a weakness? So going back to that, think about that. Is your mindset a strength or a weakness? Is the way you talk to yourself, is that a strength? Does that encourage you to dream big? Does that show you self-love? How you set goals. Are you limiting yourself, or are you dreaming big? So, do you feel your current mindset is a strength or a weakness? I want you to write that down. My mindset is my biggest strength, my biggest weakness. And then the second part of that question, if you had more of a growth mindset, what do you think you can accomplish? If you allowed yourself to dream big and you talk to yourself with lots of love and encouragement, just like you would talk to your best friend or your child, what do you think you could accomplish instead of limiting yourself? Again, you might not be able to answer that right now. This is a great time to stop and really reflect, but I encourage you again to put pen to paper. All right, number 2, key habit, those healthy habits, right? Key number 2 is healthy habits. Habits are the things we do without thinking. So approximately 40% of your daily actions we do on autopilot. These are learned habits. Some of those are good habits that lead us towards living a healthy, thriving life. And some of those are not so good habits that often come with unhealthy consequences. So I'm not going to lie, I love to watch Real Housewives. And so an unhealthy habit is for me to plop myself down on the TV and binge watch, 2 or 3 seasons. Well, now I've got myself a walking pad. And if I'm going to watch Real Housewives, I make sure that I'm on that walking pad. Not only does it limit my screen time because I don't want to be sitting, I don't want to be walking on the walking pad for 2 hours, but I'm able to do something I love and incorporate a nice healthy activity with it. So there's lots of ways that we can play with that. So when it comes to midlife, specifically menopause, we want to make sure that our healthy habits are creating actions that help keep your hormones balanced. Those hormones are obviously important in perimenopause, when you're going through menopause, and postmenopause. Even though those hormones are kind of at their bottom level, they're still there and we still want to honor them. That's going to allow us, to manage our menopause and postmenopause symptoms with little or no life interruptions. And it's going to help us improve our overall quality of life now and 30 years from now. So key number 2 to thriving in midlife is focusing on creating sustainable, long-lasting, healthy habits. And when I'm talking about healthy habits, I'm referring to actions like moving your body more throughout the entire day to help keep you living pain-free and self-sufficient. The longer we can be on our own, the better. Not only is it a lot cheaper, but it's a lot more fun, let's be honest. Having a set fitness routine in place. This is going to help fight chronic illness. It's going to keep your metabolism working at optimal levels. It's going to increase your muscle mass, your bone density. It's going to reduce your risk of chronic disease. And when I'm talking about having a fitness routine, that doesn't mean you have to go out and join a gym or you have to, sign up for CrossFit. If you love CrossFit, go for it. I'm just talking about how can you move your body? Is it a yoga class? Is it Pilates? Is it Zumba? Is it taking your dog for a daily walk? Is it a hike around your neighborhood if you've got an area to hike or trail walk? So find ways that you love to move your body and put that as part of your fitness routine. But always, I want to encourage you to add a little bit of strength training in there because that's super important that we are getting strength training, resistance training. And again, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. We don't have to be in the gym for hours, but we do need to be lifting weights so that we're keeping that muscle mass and making sure that our bones are nice and healthy. Proper nutrition. This means that we're eating to fuel our body. We're not eating out of comfort or boredom. We're limiting those self-sabotaging behaviors. I'm a huge sweets lover, so once in a while I need to have that little sweet snack, but I also know that I cannot buy a pack of 12 donuts or 12 cupcakes and have them in the house because I would devour them. So we want to make sure that we're setting ourselves up when it comes to nutrition. Quality sleep. This is going to help with our cravings, with inflammation, with muscle recovery, with brain health, with gut health. Very important that we're focusing on that quality sleep. And then finally, stress reduction. When we reduce our stress, that's going to help decrease brain fog, anxiety, depression, mood swings. Those are all common in menopause. It's going to help with our cortisol levels. It's going to help with holding on to excess fat, specifically in our midsection. So it's important that we're looking at all of those things when we're talking about creating healthy habits. So when you look at your top 3 priorities from step 2, what healthy habits do you feel you need to start incorporating today? So think about that. So even if I said, okay, I'm going to focus on my relationships, which means I need to have the energy to focus on those relationships. I need to have the energy to spend time with that person. I need to be in a good mood to spend time with that person. So what am I doing to do that? Well, am I moving my body? Am I getting proper rest? Do I have the energy, the physical energy, the mental energy to deal with this person? And so think about those things. So even if relationships or career, I want to focus on my career. I want to get to this next level before I retire. Well, do you have the energy to do that? Maybe you need to eat better to have the energy to pour into your career. Maybe you need to start an exercise program so that you have the energy to do all of these. Maybe you need to prioritize sleep so that you can clear up that brain fog and you can go in feeling organized and confident in your abilities to get that promotion. So think about that. When you look at your priorities from step 2, what healthy habits do you need to start to incorporate today? And then it's important that we are updating our lifestyle habits as we age. So remember, what worked when you were 25, 35, and even 40 is not necessarily going to work for you now, being in your 50s, 55, and beyond. So think about that. What areas do you need to tweak to optimize your success? Same thing. If you want to pause this, pause it. Again, I encourage you to put pen to paper and take the time to go through the process of writing this down and acknowledging what do you need to be doing? What healthy habits are you going to that need to be focused on to help you with that top priority in one of those 5 areas we talked about at the beginning of the workshop? Okay, and then finally, number 3, it is knowledge. Knowledge is key, right? You're going to hear me say it a million times. The more you know, the better you do, right? Do you remember that? The commercial back in the day, the more you know, and it had the little shooting star. But seriously, knowledge is power. When it comes to thriving in midlife, you've got to know what to expect and how to find relief with little or no life interruptions. And number 3, understand that when things are considered normal with age, doesn't mean that you have to live life being uncomfortable, right? Just because it's normal doesn't mean it's not treatable. So think about those things. So number 3 is knowledge. If I want to make these healthy habits so that I'm finding success in my relationships or my career or just my overall health in general, what knowledge do I need to have? All right. How can I make things better? What is it that I don't know? And maybe that's been one of the obstacles I've been dealing with. So now let's get that knowledge. Let's be in the know. So when it comes to thriving in midlife, you're probably wondering, well, what knowledge do I need to make this transition easier on me and my loved ones? Because again, I will say it a million times, this transition affects everyone and everything. And if your spouse, if they're in midlife as well, they're going through their own transition. It's not necessarily menopause, but men do go through this. It's just different. But the things that they're going through affect you. So think about that. Everything you're going through is affecting them. So how can we work together, really? So like I said, for some people, it's like a hurricane. It messes with everything and it gets in its path, right? So when it comes to being informed, you want to have the answers to the following. You want to know what foods are helping and hurting you, meaning how is your current nutrition affecting your symptoms, your gut health, your sleep, your weight? As a nutritionist, I can help you find those answers if you're like, I have no idea. Your body's telling you stuff. I can tell you that. If you are eating at night, you're having wine at night, you're having caffeine at night, and your sleep is poor, your body is literally telling you that's not setting me up for success. How do I know? Well, I did it to myself. I used to drink wine in the evening, and then my sleep would be terrible. I'd be waking up. I might fall asleep faster, but I'd be waking up more often, and I would have crazy night sweats. And so I had to cut out wine. I cannot have wine after 4 o'clock. So we need to know what foods are impacting us negatively, but then at the same point, what foods are we like, oh my gosh, I ate this, amazing dish and I had so much energy. I didn't feel hungry. I didn't have cravings. And let's look at, well, what was in that? What was in that amazing dish? What's helping you? What type of movement is best for you? So due to those changes in our body, changes in your balance, changes in your flexibility, changes in your energy level, you might be suffering from vertigo or dizziness. These are both common in midlife and menopause. Maybe you're suffering from incontinence or you have pelvic floor issues. you may need to tweak how you move your body for a while. So definitely as a personal trainer, I can help you with that as well. If you've got questions about, well, this is what I used to do, but I can't do that type of exercise anymore. My joints are hurting. My incontinence is in the way of me finding success with my cardio or whatever it is. So let's look at what you are doing. We don't want to stop movement. We just need to find the right movement for where you are right now. Remember, like I said at the beginning of the workshop, we're focusing on who you are in the moment, not who you were 5 minutes or 5 years ago, and not who you're going to be 5 years from now or 10 pounds lighter from now. Let's focus on where you are now. And then once we get to that other destination, then we'll revamp it. All right. How to naturally balance your hormones. So that's something that you want to learn. What hormones are off? Have you had your blood test recently? Are you able to balance them? Where are you feeling like things are higher or lower? And let's figure out what we can do to help balance those hormones. What questions do you need to ask at your next well check? That's also knowledge. Next time you meet with your physician, let's look at the questions that you need to be asking. If you're trying to find success in area X, Y, and Z, what do we need to know from our doctor? Is the medication they're prescribing affecting that? Is there medication that we need? Can we do things more naturally and have, less medical interference? Can we take a holistic approach to this? These are all things that we would want to look at. And then the other one, what's considered normal and what's not? Again, just because it's normal doesn't mean it's not treatable. So if you're getting, if you have questions on, I'm experiencing A, B, and C, okay, well, those are all normal, but even though they're normal, you can do these things to help you alleviate what you are experiencing, even though it's normal. Okay, and then what treatment options are available to you? And that could be with hormone replacement therapy. Is there a nutrition guidelines that you should be following? Are there changes in your workouts that you need to be doing? Let's look at all of that and look at different treatment options. So when you do that, I want you to envision how your life would look if you incorporated any or all of those three areas into your daily practice. And I want you to write down how your life would be different. Okay, think about that. So when it comes to knowledge, where do you think you're lacking the knowledge that's hampering you from finding real success with your top three priorities? Where do you think you're like, man, I don't know enough about this. This is probably something I need to research, or I need to talk to a health coach about. I need to talk to a personal trainer about this. I need to talk to my doctor about. I need to talk to somebody higher up in the company about this. Whatever it is, think about that. What lack of knowledge is hampering you from finding real success with one of those top priorities? So remember, so today we generated a point A. We started with our starting point. Then we went back and we looked at the 5 key areas. And then the 5 key areas that are going to help us live our best second half of life. So careers or professional goals, commitments, caregiver roles, overall health and wellness, relationships, legacy and purpose. That's usually where people struggle, is trying to find where to start. That's the biggest obstacle. Well, you've already addressed that today. All right. You've addressed the biggest obstacle. And you now know that this is where I need to be spending my energy. Then we envisioned, if you spent your energy focusing on that, where you want to get to, whether it's a physical place, a mental place, an emotional place, you know what you want your best life to look like and to feel like, right? So we envision that. We know who we're sharing it with. We know who we're taking care, or how we're taking care of ourselves and our loved ones. We know our daily habits. All of these things would pile up and we'd have this great second half. Then I've given you the 3 keys that are going to make up the path, getting you from point A to point B, incorporating those 3 keys. All right, so now here is the second biggest obstacle. Not where to start, but how to start and how to keep going until you reach your destination, right? So you've got your first step. We've got our last step, what we've envisioned us to be at, but what are the steps in between? That's where you really have to start making a plan. And that's where I encourage women to start small. So what is one thing you could start today that would move you in the right direction? Start there. And once that becomes habit, add on something else. Try not to do it all at once. It's not going to work, right? And of course, if you need help, if you need coaching, or if you just have questions, please, please, please reach out to me. All right. I am here. I don't know where my picture is. I had a picture on here. It's fine. You know what I look like. If you don't, there's plenty of pictures on Instagram. But honestly, if you're like, okay, I've kind of got my starting point. I know where I'm starting. I know where I want to be. But what are the steps to get in between? There is my email. You can email me questions that you have. You can go onto my website. There's tons of free resources on there that might help you fill in the gaps for those steps to get you going in the right direction. Like I said, there's a ton of free resources on there. The other thing is if you are in perimenopause and even in postmenopause, because you're still struggling with a lot of the things that, you know, you're going to be there for the rest of your life, basically. I strongly suggest grabbing a copy of my health journal, Navigating Menopause. It's available on Amazon. There's so many ways to help you stay the course, because what happens is so many of us, we get going in the right direction and then we just stop. That health journal is a way for you to track the progress so that you keep going. It's a way to have accountability. It's a way to have motivation to keep the progress so that you're going in the right direction. All right. So the other thing is, of course, make sure to follow me on Instagram. You can follow me here on YouTube. I love to share tips and real life, easy to implement strategies to help you live your best life. Okay. So sharing, there we go. So tons of information. I'm gonna take my glasses off. Tons of information. But again, if you have any questions, I know it's a lot, please feel free to reach out to me. I promise to help guide you any way I can. The most important thing when it comes to this is get started. Figure out, do that self-inventory, take the time to write it down, figure out what is my one priority I want to focus on, and then how can I use those three keys: mindset, healthy habits, and knowledge? How can I use those three keys to help me find success in that one area? Once you get there, then you can look at the other areas that you want to prioritize. All right, I am here for you. I know it was super long. Thank you for staying with me the whole time. I'm always posting free workshops to help guide you and give you more information so that you are living your best second half. Have a great day, guys.